Chapter 9. Race. Paradox. Race as we know it has no deterministic biological basis. All the same, race is so powerful that it can have life or death consequences. Some scholars have claimed that the idea of race as we know it today did not exist in the ancient world. Well, it did and it didn't. Many ancients used skin color, for example, to tell one person from the next. They weren't colorblind after all. But they did not generally discriminate in the way or to the extent that we understand racial discrimination today. That is, judging people categorically and assigning them social roles based on those categories. The Romans maintained a brutal system of slavery, but their slaves, as well as their free citizens, comprised individuals of various skin colors and geographic origins. Meanwhile, the Greek father of medicine, Hippocrates, believed that race resulted from distinct climates and soils and was, thus, changeable. Even 18th century scientists believed that climate impacted race. For example, when a sunnier climate turned one's skin darker, some believed that that new skin tone would be passed on to one's children. Indeed, blackness was considered a, quote, universal freckle. The idea that race is independent of climate arose in the mid-17th century in conjunction with imperialism. As Europeans began colonizing new lands, race proved a handy way to rationalize conquest and domination. New definitions of race sought to categorize people who were different from white Europeans. But as we now know, the biological validity of racial categories is debatable. That said, in social life, race has real consequences. Just ask someone of the Barakamine race in Japan. The Barakamine originated as a group of displaced outcasts resulting from 14th century feudal wars. Imagine all the homeless people in Miami or Los Angeles suddenly being labeled as unique races. The Barakamine formed a social category even though they were not a distinct group, genetically speaking. Still, many consider the Barakamine a, quote, less human race, despite the fact that they display no physical distinctions from their fellow Japanese. Race is based on the Latin word for root, misimplying long-standing, unique bloodlines. But if you look underneath the social constructs, you'll see that our roots are really closely intertwined. Racial divisions are perpetuated in the interests of groups that wish to maintain power and social exclusion. And that, in turn, is what makes a racing race so difficult.